The sky above the jungle was dark. Smoke rose slowly, curling around the trees like ghostly fingers. A deep drumbeat echoed across the clearing, and shadows danced in the firelight. She was tied to the spit arms above her head, ankles bound tight. The wooden pole pressed against her back. Her skin was bruised, dirty, and covered in scratches. Her silver hair hung over her face, damp from tears and sweat. Her name was Lyria, once a proud daughter of the Zarnak people. But now to the crowd of savage aliens surrounding her, she was nothing more than meat. The fire below her crackled. Flames licked the base of the spit. Heat climbed up, inch by inch, like the jaws of death slowly opening. The tribe chanted louder. Their eyes were wild, hungry. Some had knives, some held sticks covered in glowing paint. They stomped and howled like beasts. Their leader, a tall alien with red eyes and sharp fangs, stepped forward and shouted, "Tonight we feast on weakness." Lyria shook her head, her voice hoarse. "Please, I'm not your enemy." They didn't listen. They only laughed. "You were born small," the leader growled. "Too weak to fight, too soft to lead. But your flesh is strong enough to eat." She closed her eyes. No one had come to help. Her own people left her here. Left her to die because food was low and she was considered useless. The fire flared suddenly. The first flames touched her feet. She screamed, but then crack! A sudden noise tore through the air. A loud blast echoed like thunder. The tribe froze. Everyone turned toward the trees. Smoke billowed from the jungle path. Something moved in the darkness. Heavy boots hit the ground with purpose. Step, step, step. Out of the trees came a tall figure, dirty clothes, strange armor, and a glowing weapon in his hand. A human. Gasps filled the clearing. Some stepped back. The leader bared his teeth. The human looked around calmly, then locked eyes with Lyria. His voice was firm and cold. "Let go." The tribe didn't move. They didn't understand that. The leader hissed, "You dare enter our land, stranger?" The human raised his weapon. A red light began to glow on the side of it. "I'll only say it once." The leader growled and pointed a claw. "Kill him." 3 warriors rushed toward the human, but the human didn't run. He didn't even blink. He pressed a button. Flash! A blinding light exploded from his hand. A loud bang followed. Dust and fire covered everything. Screams rang out. The tribe stumbled, coughing and blinded. The human moved fast. He ran straight to Lyria, slashing the ropes with a knife. She fell into his arms, coughing from smoke. "You're okay now," he said softly. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Why did you come?" He didn't answer. He simply picked her up and turned to run, but the tribe was already recovering. "After them!" The leader shouted. The human ran toward the trees, holding Lyria close to his chest. Her heart pounded. Her body ached. But for the first time in days, she felt something warm. Hope. Behind them, drums beat louder. Angry screams chased them into the jungle. The fire still burned in the clearing, but the real fire now was in the human's eyes. The forest swallowed them whole. Branches tore at the man's arms as he ran. Leaves slapped his face. His boots pounded against wet ground. In his arms, the alien girl clung to life, barely awake. Her body was cold, but the fire from the tribe still burned behind them. Far behind. The drums had stopped, but silence was worse. Silence meant they were hunting quietly now. He stopped behind a large root and gently placed the girl on the ground. Her skin was pale, her breathing weak. He touched her neck, still alive, but barely. She looked up at him, whispering, "Why did you save me?" The human didn't answer. He scanned the forest instead. He wasn't here for thanks. Not yet. He turned his head slightly. Eyes focused. Snap. A twig. Too close. The man grabbed his strange weapon again and pressed his back against a tree. The jungle was thick, dark, and alive with strange noises. Then a growl, not from an animal. From a throat that had tasted blood. 3 tribal hunters appeared, walking low and slow. Sharp claws, painted faces. Eyes locked on their prey, the human. Stepped forward, they hissed, thinking him just another soft-skinned creature. But then, he spoke in their own language. "Back off," he growled, voice sharp, "or you'll join the fire yourselves." The hunters stopped. Confused, shocked, one even took a step back. "You speak our tongue?" One snarled. The man nodded, coldly. "Learned it in your prison. Spent 2 years listening to your filth." The leader of the trio bared his fangs. "Then you should know, we don't stop until we taste the kill." The human smiled, not a kind smile. "A dangerous one. Good," he said. "I'm hungry too." Before the hunter could move, the man fired. Thup! A silent blast of red light hit the alien square in the chest. He dropped instantly, not dead but paralyzed. The others charged, but the human was faster. One twist, one kick, one scream. Then silence. It was over in seconds. The girl stared from behind the tree, her lips trembling. "You killed them." The man wiped his blade and walked to her. "No," he said. "Just taught them to fear me again." He knelt down beside her and pulled out a small round device. He pressed it to her leg. A soft hiss. Pain flared in her eyes, but she didn't scream. "What's your name?" he asked finally. "Lyria," she whispered. "I'm Grant," he said. He stood up, eyes narrowing. "We need to move. They'll send more." Lyria reached out. "Why help me, Grant? I'm no one. My own people left me to die." Grant paused. Then said quietly, "So did mine. But someone saved me once." He picked her up again and ran. Behind them, the jungle whispered. And somewhere, deep in the forest, something much worse than the tribe was now watching. Something ancient. Something hungry. Rain began to fall, not loud. Just soft drops that tapped the leaves above and dripped onto Lyria's skin. It cooled the burn marks on her legs, but her body was still shaking. She was awake now. And terrified. Grant carried her through the jungle, one arm under her legs, the other holding his weapon. His steps were slower now, tired, heavy. He didn't stop. Not even when the blood from his side soaked through his shirt. "Put me down," she whispered weakly. He shook his head. "Not a chance. You're hurt. I've been worse." Lyria looked up at him. "You'll die if you keep carrying me." He didn't answer. He just walked. They moved through vines and mud, deeper into the forest. Strange sounds echoed around them, growls, whispers, clicking noises that didn't belong to anything human. Or even alien. The air grew colder. Suddenly, Grant stopped. Lyria tried to lift her head. "What is it?" He didn't speak. He crouched down slowly and placed her behind a large rock. Then he held up his hand, silent signal to stay still. Through the leaves, they both saw them. Not the tribe, not hunters. Something else. A tall creature with glassy black skin, long arms, and a face with no mouth. It moved without sound, sliding between trees like mist. Behind it were 2 more, sniffing the air. Lyria's eyes widened in horror. "Forest shades," she whispered. "They eat what the fire leaves behind." Grant kept low, his heart pounding. He'd only heard stories of shades, forest predators that hunted blood and heat. They came after battles, after fires, to feed on the weak and wounded. And they had caught his scent. One of the shades tilted its head and sniffed again. Then it turned straight toward them. Grant whispered, "Don't move." But Lyria was already shaking. She was cold, hungry, and weak. A soft sob escaped her lips. The creature heard it and ran. Fast. Too fast. Grant jumped out, firing his weapon. A beam of blue light hit the creature's chest, but it didn't fall. It screeched, its mouth finally opening like a black hole. Lyria screamed. Grant threw a stun mine and grabbed her again. Boom! The blast knocked the shade back. He ran. Again. Every step hurt now. His side was bleeding worse. His legs felt like stone, but Lyria's arms tightened around his neck. You should leave me, she cried. You'll die for nothing. I told you, he growled. I don't leave people behind. The jungle grew darker. Finally, they reached a small rocky cave hidden behind thick leaves. Grant dropped to his knees and crawled in, still holding her. Inside it was cold and tight, but dry. He laid her down gently. His hands were shaking now, his breathing rough. Are they gone? She asked. For now, he said, pressing his hand to his bleeding side. But not for long. He looked at her legs blistered, her eyes tired but still burning with questions. Why are you doing this? She asked. No human would care about me. Grant leaned back, eyes fixed on the cave ceiling. I lost someone once, he said softly. A little girl. She was just like you, small, scared. No one believed she was worth saving. Lyria stayed quiet. She died in a fire, he whispered. I was too late. His voice broke. I'm not letting the fire take anyone else. The cave was quiet, too quiet. Outside, the jungle was holding its breath. No wind, no insects. No sounds, just thick silence, like something terrible was waiting. Grant didn't sleep. He sat with his back to the cave wall, one eye on the entrance, the other on Lyria. She was curled under his jacket, her chest rising and falling slowly. His side still bled, but he had no more bandages. Just a strip of torn cloth tied too tight to stop the bleeding. He looked at the tiny alien girl and whispered, Don't wake up yet. Not until I figure out how to keep us alive. Then scratch, a sharp sound. Grant turned fast, weapon raised. Scratch. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Claws. Scraping along the rocks. Suddenly, a long black limb slid into the cave slow. Feeling, tasting the air. The skin was like wet glass, and the fingers ended in sharp hooks. One of the shades had found them. Grant didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. The creature pushed its face in, no mouth, no nose. Just a smooth mask and too pale. Lidless eyes. It leaned closer, closer to Lia. Then click. The safety on Grant's weapon. The shade turned too late. Blast! The shot hit the cave wall, exploding light and heat. Rocks fell. Screeches filled the air. The shade backed out, injured but not dead. Wake up! Grant shouted. Lyria jolted awake, gasping. What's happening? Time to move. He grabbed her, but her legs were stiff, weak. I can't run, she cried. Grant looked outside. Shadows moved in the trees. The shades weren't alone anymore. Then his eyes saw it. A large creature, covered in bones and moss, sniffing the ground. Its chest was wide, full of old scars. Its mouth opened sideways. The Alpha. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, Grant whispered. He scanned the cave and found what he needed, a broken branch, some dry moss, and a small canister in his bag. Can you crawl? He asked Lyria. She nodded slowly. Good, go out the back now. What are you doing? He gave her a half smile. Buying us time. As she crawled out through a small tunnel in the rocks, Grant set up the trapstick, moss, canister. Spark device. Boom dash and dash. A dash box. He waited. The Alpha roared and charged the cave. Grant ran. Boom! The explosion lit up the jungle. Birds screamed, trees shook. Smoke filled the air. The shades howled and scattered. Grant collapsed near the exit tunnel, coughing and bleeding. Lyria crawled to him, pulling him away from the smoke. You're crazy, she whispered. He gave her a bloody grin. Crazy keeps us alive. That night, they didn't sleep. They hid in the roots of a dead tree, far from the fire, far from the tribe. And for the first time, Lyria leaned against the human, not out of fear but trust. "You're not like the stories," she said. "What stories?" "That humans are cruel, that they only take." He looked at the stars above. "I lost a lot," he said softly. "Now I try to give back what I can." Outside the dead tree, the forest was quiet again. But back at the tribe's camp, the leader had returned, and he was furious. "The fire failed," he said coldly. "Then we will hunt with the storm." Lightning flashed in the sky, and the final chase was about to begin. The rain returned with rage. Thunder cracked the sky in half. Lightning flashed like the gods were taking pictures. Mud slid down the hills in dark rivers, and under the thick roots of a dying tree, a broken man and a fragile girl clung to life. Grat couldn't feel his fingers anymore. His skin was pale. His eyes kept closing. He was fading. Lyria, still weak but awake, touched his shoulder. He didn't move. "Grant?" she whispered. "Please, say something." His lips moved, barely. "You okay? You're the one bleeding," she said, voice cracking. "Why did you give me the medicine?" Grant smiled, slow and tired. "You needed it more. I was supposed to die," she said. "I was worthless. They said so." "No," he whispered. "They were wrong." His head dropped. He passed out. Panic hit her like a knife. No, don't die," she cried. She touched his side. The cloth was soaked red. He was losing too much blood. She searched his bag. Nothing. Empty wrappers. Broken tools. One emergency light. No more medicine, but something else. A small photo. She pulled it out. A girl human, maybe 10 years old, with curly hair and a big smile. On the back it said, "Mia, wait for me." Lyria stared at it. Tears filled her eyes. "You lost someone." "Just like I almost did," she whispered. "That's why you saved me." She looked outside. The storm was clearing, but something worse was coming. Drums. Close. The tribe was near. She stood. Her legs shook, but they held. She was not strong. Not fast. Not trained, but she had something new. A reason. She dragged branches across the opening of the root shelter. Covered it with leaves. Hid Grant the best she could. Then she picked up his weapon. It was heavy. Too heavy. She almost dropped it, but she held it. She limped away from the tree, heading toward the noise. In the trees above, glowing eyes followed her. The tribe's scouts. She didn't care. She stopped in the middle of a clearing and raised the weapon. "I'm here," she shouted. The jungle answered with movement. Dozens of aliens stepped into view, painted in blood, holding torches, ready to strike. Their leader growled. "The fire didn't finish you?" She stood tall, though her arms shook. "I'm not meat anymore. You think holding a weapon makes you brave?" "No," she said. "But I had someone teach me how to live." She fired once. Not at them, but at a tree. It crashed down, blocking one path. She turned and limped to another spot. Fired again. This time, a branch exploded into flames. Now the tribe was confused. What was she doing? Where was the human? "Where's the one who saved you?" the leader shouted. She smiled. "You'll never find him." Behind her, in the mud and roots, Grant still breathed. She had drawn the hunters away. She had become the shield. The storm had passed, but a new storm had risen inside her. A storm called Hope. The torchlight danced across her face. Lyria stood in the middle of the jungle clearing. Rain still dripping from her hair, her legs trembling, but she didn't run. All around her, the tribe circled like wolves. "You should be dead," their leader hissed. She lifted Grant's weapon. Her hands shook, but her eyes didn't. "I was dead," she said, "but he brought me back." They laughed hard, cruel laughter. "You? The weak one?" one shouted. "What can you do without your human?" Lyria didn't blink. She took one step forward, then another. And then, she did something no one expected. She dropped the weapon. The tribe froze. She lifted her hands. "I'm not here to hide," she said. "I'm here to show you what fear really looks like." From her belt, she pulled out the last item in Grant's bag, a flash beacon. She slammed it to the ground. Boom. A bright white light exploded, blinding everyone. While the tribe staggered, shouting in confusion, Lyria ran straight into the jungle, but not away, toward the place she had chosen, a narrow pass between two cliffs, just wide enough for one alien at a time, and behind it, Grant, still hidden, still alive. She climbed the rocks and stood on the ledge above the path. In her hands, she held the fire trap she made from Grant's gear, small, weak-looking, but deadly if used right. Soon, the first warrior appeared, snarling. Torch in hand, she threw the first device. Flash, bang, flame. He dropped. More came. She fought like she had nothing left to lose, because she had already lost everything. And now she was fighting for what little remained, for the man who chose to save her when no one else would. Back at the hiding spot, Grant woke up. The photo of Mia lay in his hand, but it was the sound of Lyria's scream that made him sit up. He forced himself to move. Every inch hurt. He crawled outside, leaning on a broken branch, and saw her on the rocks, bruised, bleeding, but standing. She looked down and met his eyes. "You're awake," she called out. "You should have run," he said. Coughing, she smiled through bloodied lips. "I did. I ran straight back to you." Grant laughed once, then coughed again. "You're insane. I learned from the best." The tribe was now backing away, confused, scared. Their prey had become the predator. The leader stepped forward, furious. "Enough games." He charged. Lyria tried to fight, but the leader was faster, stronger. He grabbed her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. She gasped, kicked, clawed, but he didn't let go. Then dash bang. A shot rang out. The leader dropped her. Behind him stood Grant, weapon shaking in his hand. "Touch her again," he growled, "and I'll finish what I started." The tribe stared. One human, one girl. But together, they had become something else. Something powerful, something unbreakable. The jungle was silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Lyria's heart hammered as the leader of the tribe stood before her, eyes burning with hatred. His claws were stained with mud and fire ash. His breath came heavy. Grant stood behind her, steady but weak. "You think this ends here?" The leader growled. Lyria swallowed her fear. "No," she said. "It ends when you fall." The leader laughed, sharp and cruel. Then he charged. Lyria dodged, barely, feeling his claws graze her arm. She stumbled but didn't fall. Grant fired his weapon once more, but the leader blocked the beam with a heavy branch. The fight was raw. Blood and sweat mixed in the rain. Then as the leader lunged again, Lyria saw her chance. She baited him toward a deep pit they had covered with leaves. At the last second, she stepped back. The leader's foot slipped. He fell down into the fao. Dark pit. Silence. Then a scream. The tribe froze. Lyria stood, trembling but victorious. Grant limped forward, holding her hand. "You did it," he said softly. "No," she replied. "We did it." The tribe slowly backed away, defeated. Lyria looked up at the stars breaking through the clouds. She had been seconds from becoming meat. Now, she was a hero. Her story was just beginning. And with Grant beside her, she knew she would never be alone again.